Yes, I'm wearing the same outfit I wore yesterday. It is what it is. But today I am not doing a thing. Well, yes I am. Today I'm not going anywhere. I do have to clean this house. Continue to clean this house. I have lots of laundry to catch up on. And I just need to pick up things. Like, there's just stuff everywhere, it seems like. So, first things first, I'm going to start folding some clothes and putting those away. Let's get that done. Okay, it's time for a lunch break. I think I'm gonna make me a hamburger because that sounds good. We keep these frozen burgers in the freezer because they're just so convenient. Cody's so funny. I think I've mentioned this to y'all before, but he is extremely picky. He doesn't like many normal foods that we all like. He doesn't eat any rice, so that cuts out a lot of recipes and stuff. He's just now getting to a place where he will eat mashed potatoes, which is good because that's something that can fill him up. And he can eat that he can eat it with chicken, roast, whatever. One of his favorite things to do is for me to cook him up some patties. He'll either melt cheese on top and just eat the patties like that with ketchup, or he will dip them in A1 sauce. Like, that's one of his favorite things ever. I know. Super strange, but it could be worse. And of course, like, he doesn't care what I cook. Like, he wants me to cook whatever I want to eat. Like, he doesn't demand for me to, like, cook him something different or anything like that. Like, he is so content with just meat. And that's so hard for me to wrap my brain around because I love sides and vegetables and stuff like that. He will eat like mac and cheese and, like I said, mashed potatoes now. But as far as like him having to have it, he could care less. But I am thankful he's eating the mashed potatoes now because everybody loves mashed potatoes, right? I'm going to cook me up a burger and take a little lunch break. It's starting to get gloomy outside. I think it's gonna rain this afternoon. I need to season my burgers. Oh, you know what I just realized? My mom bought me a special seasoning that I've been wanting. And I left it at her house. So I'm just gonna use Slap Your Mama. I like Slap Your Mama better than Tony Chachere's. I know that's probably controversial in the Cajun communities, but I recently just got this burger sauce from, it's like the Flavortown Guy Fieri's sauce, and it said you can put on burgers. I mean, you can put on anything, but it recommends burgers, so I'm just gonna try it. I haven't tasted it, so I'm excited to see what it tastes like. But I just have a little slice of cheese. I have some lettuce and tomatoes. I have my favorite pickles, which is the Mount Olive dill made with sea salt. It has to be made with sea salt. It's so good, so much better than just the regular dill chips. The sauce was really good on the burger. I would definitely eat it again. It was really yummy. Now, back to cleaning. I didn't film everything, but I did get a lot accomplished. The only thing I did not get to was our bedroom, and I will just do that tomorrow. I had to stop and edit. That took forever. This day has flown by. Today's Wednesday, so we have church tonight. And unfortunately, I have to lead worship tonight after being sick. I think I'll be fine. But there is that pressure. There's always pressure when you lead worship for me, but also when you've been sick. I know it's going to be difficult, but oh well. So I need to get dressed for church, pick out something to wear, and leave for practice. And then after I lead worship, we're having like our young adults Christmas party during church. So I'm excited for that. And then after church, we have another party to go to, a birthday celebration party. So it's gonna be a fun night. I'm excited about it. Let me drink some water for this voice. This is what I'm wearing tonight. I have on a pink ornament headband. And then this shirt from, I think it's from Target. It has like the puff sleeves, and then just a black and white striped skirt from Old Navy, I think. And that's my outfit for church tonight. Let's go. All right there. Hey Bubs. Hey y'all, so it's future Sarah here. When I got home last night, I was so tired. I did not have the energy to read our 6th chapter of Luke. I'm gonna read it today and just insert it in the video. I just edited the video and I can just add this in really quickly. But I wanted to mention, you know how last night I was so concerned about leading worship because of my voice, because I've just gotten over this sickness. So Cody and I pulled up to church and we saw like a fire truck, 2 fire trucks, and like people standing outside, our pastors standing outside. We're like, what is going on? Well, Cody didn't have to be in the sanctuary. He was just gonna go straight to our young adult party in the in one of our back buildings. So he dropped me off. And so I got out and I'm like, what is going on? So there was a gas leak at our church that happened because of a malfunction with a heater. And so we actually canceled church last night. I'm not saying it was a good thing. but it was just funny because I was so concerned about leading worship with my voice, and then church was canceled because the building wasn't safe to be in. But we still had the party in another building in the back, and it was a lot of fun. We had so much fun. We played games. Cody won a gift card to Texas Roadhouse. But yeah, we had lots of fun. And then after that, we went to a birthday party. We had lots of fun there. Just hanging out with all the people that we love. But I just had to tell y'all that because it was so funny that it worked out that way. All right, I'm gonna start reading Luke chapter 6. Thank y'all so much for all of the love on yesterday's video about my nephew Waylon. I know it was emotional, and my mom texted me this morning saying how she was up early crying, and I knew she was gonna cry. I knew when she watched it she was gonna cry, but you just can't help but cry when you think about it and talk about it. But today is Luke 6. I'm reading out of the Passion Translation. Verse 1 says, "One Sabbath day, Jesus and his disciples were walking through a field of ripe wheat. His disciples plucked some heads of grain, rubbed the husks off with their hands, and ate them. This infuriated some of the Jewish religious leaders. They said to Jesus, 'Why are you allowing your disciples to harvest grain on the Sabbath? Don't you know it's not permissible according to the law?' Jesus replied, 'Haven't you read the scriptures? Haven't you read what King David did when he was hungry? He entered the sanctuary of God, took the bread of God's presence right off the sacred table, and shared it with his men. It was only lawful for the priest to eat the bread of God's presence. You need to know that the Son of Man is no slave to the Sabbath, for I am master over the Sabbath.'" Verse 6. On another Sabbath, Jesus was teaching in the synagogue. In the room with him was a man with a deformed right hand. Everyone watched Jesus closely, especially the Jewish leaders and religious scholars, to see if Jesus would heal on the Sabbath, for they were eager to find a reason to accuse him of breaking the Jewish laws. Jesus, knowing their every thought, said to the man with the deformed hand, "Come and stand here in the middle of the room." So he got up and came forward. Jesus said to all who were there, "Let me ask you a question. Which is better, to heal or to do harm on the Sabbath? I have come to save a life, but you have come to find a life to destroy." One by one, Jesus looked in the eyes of each person in the room. Then he said to the man, "Stretch out your arm and open your hand." With everyone watching intently, he stretched out his arm and his hand was completely healed. The room erupted with bitter rage, and from that moment on, the religious leaders plotted among themselves about how they might harm Jesus. After leaving the synagogue, Jesus went to the high hills to spend the whole night in prayer to God. At daybreak, he called together all of his followers and selected 12 from among them, and he appointed them to be his apostles. Here are their names: Simon, whom he named Peter; Andrew, Peter's brother; Jacob; John; Philip; Bartholomew; Matthew; Thomas; Jacob; Simon, known as the fiery political zealot; Judah, the son of Jacob; and Judas, the locksmith, who later betrayed Jesus. Jesus and his apostles came down from the hillside to a level field where a large number of his disciples waited, along with a massive crowd. People from all over Judea, Jerusalem, and the coastal district of Tyre and Sidon. They had all come to listen to the word so they could be healed from their diseases and be set free from tormenting demonic powers. The entire crowd eagerly tried to come near Jesus to touch him to receive healing, because a tangible supernatural power emanated from him and healed all who came close to him. Looking intently at his followers, Jesus began his sermon. "How enriched you become when you are a beggar, for you will experience the reality of God's kingdom. How filled you become when you are consumed with hunger and desire, for you will be completely satisfied. How content you become when you weep with complete brokenness, for you will laugh with unrestrained joy. How favored you become when you are hated, excommunicated, or slandered, or when your name is spoken of as evil because of your love for me, the Son of Man. I promise you that as you experience these things, you will celebrate and dance with overflowing joy, and the heavenly reward of your faith will be abundant, because you are being treated the same way as your forefathers, the prophets. But what sorrows await those of you who are rich in this life only? for you have already received all the comfort you'll ever get. What sorrows await those of you who are content with yourselves, for hunger and emptiness will come to you. What sorrows await those who laugh now, having received all of your joy in this life only, for grief and wailing will come to you. What sorrows await those of you who are always honored and lauded by others, for that's how your forefathers treated every false prophet. But I say to you who hear, love your enemies and do something wonderful for them in return for their hatred. When someone curses you, bless that person in return. When others mistreat or harass you, accept it as your mission to pray for them. To those who despise you, continue to serve and minister to them. If someone takes away your coat, give him as a gift your shirt as well. When someone comes to beg from you, give that person what you have. When things are wrongly taken from you, do not demand they are given back. The way you want others to treat you is how you should treat everyone else. Are you really showing true love by loving those who love you? Even those who don't know God will do that. Are you really showing compassion when you do good deeds only to those who do good deeds to you? Even those who don't know God will do that. If you lend money to those who will repay you, what credit is that to your character? Even those who don't know God will do that. Rather, love your enemies and continue to treat them well. When you lend money, don't despair if you are never paid back, for it is not lost. You will receive rich reward, and you will be known as true children of the Most High God, having His same nature. Be like your Father, who is famous for His kindness to heal even the thankless and cruel. Overflow with mercy and compassion for others, just as your Heavenly Father overflows with mercy and compassion for all. Verse number 37. Jesus said, forsake the habit of criticizing and judging others. You will not be criticized and judged in return. Don't condemn others, and you will not be condemned. Forgive over and over, and you will be forgiven over and over. Give generously, and generous gifts will be given back to you. Shaken down to make room for more. Abundant gifts will pour out upon you with such an overflowing measure that it will run over the top. The measurement of your generosity becomes the measurement of your return. Wow, that is so good in this Passion Translation. Verse 39, Jesus also quoted these proverbs. What happens when a blind man pretends to guide another blind man? They both stumble into a ditch. How could the apprentice know more than his master, for only after he is fully qualified will he be at that level? Why do you focus on the flaw in someone else's life and fail to notice the glaring flaws of your own life? How could you say to your friend, here, let me show you where you're wrong, when you are guilty of even more than he? You are overly critical, splitting hairs and being a hypocrite. You must acknowledge your own blind spots and deal with them before you will be able to deal with the blind spot of your friend. Ouch. You'll never find choice fruit hanging on a bad, unhealthy tree, and rotten fruit doesn't hang on a good, healthy tree. Every tree will be revealed by the quality of fruit that it produces. You will never pick figs or grapes from thorn trees. People are known in the same way. Out of the virtue stored in their hearts, good and upright people will produce good fruit. Likewise, out of the evil hidden in their hearts, evil ones will produce what is evil. For the overflow of what has been stored in your heart will be seen by your fruit and will be heard in your words. What good does it do for you to say, I am your Lord and Master, if you don't put into practice what I teach you? Let me describe the one who truly follows me and does what I say. He is like a man who chooses the right place to build a house and then lays a deep and secure foundation. When the storms are shaken and the floods rage against that house, it continues to stand strong and unshaken through the tempest, for he built it wisely on the right foundation. But the one who has heard my teaching and does not obey it is like a man who builds a house without laying any foundation at all. When the storms and floods rage against that house, it will immediately collapse and become a total loss. Which of these two builders will you be? Wow, that is an amazing chapter in this translation. Wow, it was so good and convicting, and I've never read it. I don't think I've ever read it in this translation before, but man, that was so good. So when I was reading that last couple of verses about your foundation, I thought about something that God put in my heart several years ago. I actually spoke about this somewhere. I just don't remember where. It probably was like a ladies event or something. But one day on my way home from work, I was praying, and I just felt in my heart that God was telling me to build a room for him. I was just thinking about like being in a secret place with him, and I just kept feeling that over and over, like to, in my mind, build a room for him, like a house for him. So I was driving in my car on the way home, and I was in my mind thinking about, okay, if I were to build a house, a dwelling place where me and God would be, how would I do it? And the first thing I thought of was a firm foundation. You need a good foundation to build a house, right? So you have your foundation, and what you do next is build your walls. So when I thought about that, I was like, well, sometimes we do have walls up, but it's not the walls we need up. It's walls of jealousy and pride and bitterness and anger and frustration that we have put up because of the hurts that we've experienced. So you can't just paint over those kind of walls and expect them to be stable and good. Eventually it's going to crumble. Instead of those walls being the walls that you build your house and your dwelling place with God, he can absolutely destroy those walls as you repent, and you can build up new walls of submission and trust and love and forgiveness. Your good walls are built up for your house, and next you need a roof for your house, right? In the spiritual sense, you need a covering over you. You need a spiritual covering. If you are in the right alignment with God, you need to have a spiritual authority over you. And that's coming straight from the Word of God. A roof protects you from things that are going on the outside that you have no idea that's happening to you. Like if there's a storm going on and you walk out of your house, you see limbs and debris that you had no idea was falling because your roof protected you. And it's the same way in the spiritual sense. Our spiritual leaders protect us, and they fight for us, and they intercede for us, and they fight spiritual battles for us all of the time. And that covering is there for our protection. I'm so thankful for my spiritual coverings. I'm thankful for my husband and my pastors and their pastors, and just the order that God ordained everything to be in is for a reason. So you have your foundation, you have your walls, you have your roof, your house is built. Now God can start working on the outside. Now he can start planting trees of righteousness around your house. And you can start producing that fruit from those trees of love and joy and peace and patience and kindness and goodness and faithfulness. That visual that I had all those years ago, I just remembered that moment with God, and I always think about it when I go into prayer, that I am building this secret place with him. I think it's Psalms 91 verse 1, I think. Let me read it in the King James. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I always want to have an available space for him. I don't want it to be like when Mary and Joseph were looking for a place to have Jesus that night. They went to hotels and there was just no room in the inn. They could not make room. But they finally found just one place where they had to make room. I'm sure they had to move some messes out of the way, but that place was available. And that is the same for me. I always want to make room for him. I don't want him to look at me and say, well, I'm moving on to the next person because there's no more room there. I might have to get rid of some messes in my life, but I always want to make room for him. That was such a good chapter. I think that was my favorite so far in reading Luke. I am loving this so much, reading this with y'all. I hope that y'all are too. And I hope that it encouraged you today and that you got something out of it. So, and I will see y'all tomorrow for day 7, right? I don't know. I'm so confused, like with the timing of everything. All right, y'all. I'll see you later. Bye, y'all.